You know, in this crazy, fast-paced world we live in, anxiety, it kind of feels like it's always there, right? Like this constant low hum of worry in the background. But what if the answer to managing it isn't just in our minds, but somewhere deeper, in our spirits? Let's explore a framework that tries to get to the real heart of the matter.
So, where are we getting all of this from? Well, this whole explainer is based on a really fascinating master's thesis from Ibn Khaldun University. We're going to dig into its main arguments and pull out some pretty powerful insights on how to handle anxiety, all coming straight from this research.
Right out of the gate, the thesis asks this really big question. It suggests that modern therapy, which focuses almost entirely on our minds and our bodies, might be overlooking a massive piece of the puzzle, our spiritual side. It's a bold idea, and it really makes you rethink how we approach mental health.
Okay, let's dive in. Here's what we've got on deck. We'll start with the problem of modern anxiety, look at a more holistic way of thinking, redefine what we mean by the heart, check out some practical coping methods, and then tie it all together with our overall well-being.
Now, to be clear, this research isn't trying to throw things like cognitive behavioral therapy out the window. Not at all. It's just suggesting they might be incomplete because they often ignore our spiritual dimension. It's kind of like trying to fix a car by only looking at the engine, but completely ignoring the entire electrical system. You might make some progress, but you're never going to fully solve the issue.
So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? The research points us to something called Nebevi Urthala, which translates to prophetic teachings. And again, the idea isn't to replace modern therapy. It's about adding to it, creating a more holistic approach that treats the whole person, mind, body, and spirit.
To really get this whole idea, we have to talk about the heart, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. What if the heart is way more than just a muscle pumping blood? What if it's the actual command center for our entire being? Let's dig into that.
The Arabic word for heart, qalb, is just so perfect for this. It has this incredible double meaning. On one hand, it means to turn or to change, and on the other, it means the core or the essence. So it's like our heart is this dynamic core inside us, always in motion, but it's also our true center.
And this is where it really clicks, you know? The thesis makes this super clear distinction between the physical heart, the qalbi jismani, and the spiritual heart, the qalbi ruhani. A great way to think about it is, the physical heart is the hardware, but the spiritual heart, that's the operating system that runs our consciousness, our feelings, everything.
So this spiritual heart is basically the CEO of our inner world. And it makes sense, right? When the CEO is calm and centered, the whole company, our thoughts, our emotions, our body, it all runs a lot more smoothly. That's why tackling anxiety, according to this view, has to start with the spiritual core.
Okay, so if our spiritual heart is so important, how do we actually take care of it?
Well, the thesis lays out some really practical, powerful methods that come from these prophetic teachings. Let's check out some of these pathways to finding a little more inner peace.
And here they are. Now I want you to look at these not as just rituals, but as real, practical tools for cultivating that inner quiet. Let's zoom in on a couple of them to see how they're supposed to help us deal with anxiety. Let's start with this beautiful idea of tefekko, which is all about a deep, fundamental trust in God. And this quote really sums it up perfectly. It's this powerful reminder that we don't have to carry the entire weight of the world on our own shoulders. We can trust that we'll be taken care of.
Okay, but how does that actually help with anxiety? Well, psychologically, tefekko is all about letting go of that constant need to control the future. You know, that anxiety of the unknown? This directly targets that. It's like trusting your GPS to get you where you're going, even when you can't see the full map. When you release that burden, you can find a lot more peace right here in the present.
Next up is namaz, or ritual prayer. You can really think of this as hitting a mental reset button a few times a day. It's a powerful way to step out of that whirlwind of anxious thoughts, even for just a few minutes, and create a space for real calm and tranquility.
Guilt, man, that's a heavy thing to carry around, isn't it? And it can fuel so much anxiety. That's where istighfar, or seeking forgiveness, comes in. It's a way to consciously release that weight, to find peace with the past by seeking forgiveness from a higher power, and just as importantly, from ourselves.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. The thesis actually points to research to back this up. One study it mentions found that students who practiced istighfar every day for just 1 month saw a significant drop in their anxiety levels. That's a pretty powerful link between a spiritual practice and our mental health.
So, what's the goal of all this?
Well, it's to reach a state called second eight. Just imagine for a second a deep inner peace, a kind of calm and stability that isn't really shaken by whatever chaos is happening outside. That's second eight. It's not just the absence of anxiety, it's a profound sense of well-being.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. How does this all work as a complete system? The thesis gives us this really clear framework for understanding how these specific practices can help us navigate the very specific anxieties we face.
And this table, this is what I think is so brilliant about this whole framework. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's like a specialized toolkit. Feeling anxious about money or the future? There's tawakkul, or trust. Weighed down by guilt? There's istighfar. Each practice is targeted at a specific source of anxiety.
So what's the big takeaway here? The research is pretty clear. Taking care of our spiritual heart can have a huge positive impact on our mental well-being. It's an invitation to maybe think a little differently, to explore a more complete approach to finding peace in our lives.
And that leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. In our search for mental peace, have we been missing a huge piece of the puzzle? The research we've looked at today makes a strong case that maybe, just maybe, true mental health is impossible without spiritual health. What if the key to unlocking real, lasting peace isn't just in our minds, but deep within our hearts? It's definitely something worth considering.